Coming up next on Veterans Matters, we'll sit down with Lieutenant Colonel Eric Savikas, the new chair of the Military Science Department here at EIU. We'll learn more about how military science teaches students core leadership values. And later, we'll take a look at the change of command ceremony from Lieutenant Colonel Knotts to Lieutenant Colonel Savikas. That's coming up next, so don't go away. Well, Eric, thanks for coming on Veterans Matters and talking to us today. Tell us a little bit about your journey to get to EIU as the new chair of the Military Science Department here at Eastern.
Well, I'm going on my 19th year in the Army, and it's been a long but exciting road so far, and I've completely enjoyed it. Most recently, I was assigned in the Pentagon on the Joint Staff, working for the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And from there, the Army tends to move people every 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
I put in a request to be assigned to an ROTC program as the department chair of the program, and that request was approved.
Okay.
There are 273 programs out there, and I was lucky to get a great one here at Eastern, and I was excited and arrived here in July and just recently started.
So a big change from going to work, going to the Pentagon every day to coming to a university campus, I would guess.
Yes, grinding away in the basement of the Pentagon is both exciting, but it's got its own challenges, as you can imagine, being chained to a desk, working for a bunch of generals. But it was good. It was a great opportunity, and this is going to prove to be another great opportunity.
Well, for people who aren't familiar with the Military Science Department, as a chair, your job is a little different, and how you got here is a little different than maybe the chair of the School of Business. Tell us a little bit about what your department does and how many students do you have involved in your program? Well,
currently the Military Science Department here at Eastern has 72 students, and they range from first year freshmen all the way through seniors, and some are graduate students as well. The program is meant to find the best, the brightest students and train them to be officers and train them to be commissioned as second lieutenants in the United States Army. That's ultimately what we're here to do. But we're also here to ensure that whether or not those students ever make it to be lieutenants, mostly by choice, they have the opportunities to take our courses and to learn leadership and to figure out how to apply it in a practical way, so that if they go on to the business world or be an engineer or a teacher, they still have those valuable life lessons that they can take with them.
So not necessarily all of those 72 students are going to end up in the Army or the military?
We get a lot of students that want to try out the program and see if it's right for them. Ultimately, they have to make the personal decision if it is indeed right for them. But we enjoy having students from all different backgrounds, all different majors, because ultimately we do find a lot that it is right for them, and they are a great addition to the Army if we can get to the point where we can commission them as lieutenants.
Well, earlier you had stated, you talked about leadership, and there are 7 values that the Army teaches that are, there's something for each one of those letters. Tell us what they are and how you teach those.
Well, the 7 Army values are instilled in all cadets, all Army soldiers from the very beginning. If you're a soldier and you're enlisted and you go to basic training, from day one those values are started to be instilled in them and taught. Here it's the same thing. As a cadet, in your first course here, you're taught the 7 Army values, and they include important things such as loyalty and duty and honor and respect and integrity, things that make up what a well-rounded person should be and how someone should live their lives. And that's really important to us in the Army, just as it is in any other field.
So do you find, as you're working with college students, younger students, that those values are sometimes harder to uphold early on, because these kids are coming to college, and it might be a little bit challenging, I would guess, for some of these younger students?
For some folks it is challenging, but you would be surprised. You hear all sorts of things about how different generations are different and previous generations understood values better than the current generation. But I find that that's not true at all. That the students here, the 72 that are in our program and students all across campus here, have those same values. You just need to get with them and show them how those values can be applied to everyday situations and how those values are important. But they're there already. You just have to kind of polish that stone a little bit to bring them out.
Okay. And what are some ways? I mean, you do this through coursework. What are some other ways that you instill those leadership values in students?
Well, the values, besides, like you mentioned, being taught in the academic environment, are used all the time.
Right.
Selfless service. It may be that we are volunteering for a veterans activity downtown for Veterans Day, or we are doing something on campus to help new students move into their dorms and freshman move-in day. Our students are taught, our cadets are taught, that something like that particular value of selfless service is important all the time.
Right.
So it's not just a time where we say, hey, this is the period where it's selfless service and you're applying it now, or this is the point where you're doing your duty, or this is the point where integrity matters. All of that matters in everyday situations, in all situations, and we ensure that the students uphold those all the time, whether they're wearing a uniform for our particular class, or they're at an athletic event, or they're in another class, or they're even off campus during the summer. They still need to uphold those same values.
And those are good values to follow whether you continue in the military or head out in the business world. You can apply those into your careers.
They apply anywhere, and they're timeless, essentially.
Now, you said you have 72 students in the department. That's the most that you've had in recent history?
It's probably the most we've had in about 5 years.
Okay. And what do you account for the increase in
what we've
participation?
tried to do is get the word out. I think a lot of people know that we have a military science department on campus, but many have no idea what military science does. They think it's often an extension of just an Army recruiting office, where we're asking people to come through the door and sign up to be in the Army, and that's not it at all. We're trying to train leadership, train people to be leaders, ultimately, if they so decide, to be commissioned in the United States Army, but that's not an overnight process.
Right.
And we want people to know that they can come and see what we're doing and experience what we're doing and get the practical experience of what we're doing, and it's not a commitment.
So you're taking over as chair. What are some of the things that you hope to do in your new position here at Eastern?
Well, there are a lot of things I want to do for the program, namely, like I've been saying, create the best lieutenants I can for the Army. That's ultimately the charge that the Army has given me in creating lieutenants. On a smaller scale, here on campus, I want my department to be a good partner to the university. I want to be a partner with the athletic department, partner with the admissions department. I want to be partnered with the administration of the university to ensure that we're all one team here. We're not just the guys in uniform that are in Clem Hall doing our own thing. We want to be part of the university team.
Now, Lieutenant Colonel Knott's retired. Were there any words of advice that he gave you as he was leaving?
He gave me a lot, and we had a great transition. He had been doing a lot of good things for the program in his time here, and I just said I wanted to continue the work that he had been doing. The best piece of advice he gave me was, well, he gave me two pieces of advice. The first was get the word out, because he knows it's been a struggle to let everyone in the community know what we're doing here, and that's what we're trying to continue to do, is get the word out. So you will see us around campus, whether we're rappelling off of the side of Clem Hall, or we're in our morning physical fitness formation at 6 in the morning working out, or we're just walking around campus in uniforms. We want to get the word out. The second thing he told me, and this really hit home, is to remember that these are college students, and they're living and experiencing being a student. They're not in the Army. And whether it's my 19 years experience or the experience of my other cadre that are on the staff, we need to ensure that we remember that they're not soldiers yet, but they're students, and there are distinct differences in that, and we just need to keep that in mind.
All right. Well, back in June, it was the change of command ceremony, which in other academic departments, when they change from one chair to the other, there's no ceremony. In your department, there actually is a formal ceremony. Can you tell us a little bit about why the military does that?
Yep, it's not just in the ROTC departments around the country, it's in every formation, Army formation, every size unit, we do a change of command ceremony.
Okay.
And it's a tradition that's gone on for hundreds of years. The flag of an organization, or what we refer to as the colors of the organization, normally represent the commander. And where that flag is on the battlefield is where the commander normally is.
Okay.
So the soldiers that belong to that commander or that work for that commander know that on the battlefield they rally around that flag because that's where the commander is located. So symbolically, the flag ends up being a symbol of the commander. So what we do in our ceremony is we take the flag of the organization and we pass it from one commander to another as a symbolic exchange that he's passing over responsibility and the duties of the command. And it's important for the soldiers and the members of the organization to see that because they see that the leader changes, but the organization still carries on.
Okay, well, we're going to take a look at that here at the end of the show, but I wanted to thank you for coming on this program and welcome
Thank you
to
very
Eastern
much.
Illinois.
I appreciate the opportunity.
And best of luck, and have a great semester, and I'm sure we'll see you on the show a few more times.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Great.
The change of command ceremony is rooted in military history, dating back to the 18th century, during the reign of Frederick the Great of Prussia. At that time, organizational flags were developed with color arrangements and symbols unique to each particular unit. To this flag and its commander, the soldiers of the unit would dedicate their loyalty and trust. When a change of command was to take place, the flag was passed to the individual assuming the command. This gesture was accomplished in front of the unit so that all could see and witness their new leader assuming his dutiful position. He who held the flag also held the soldier's allegiance. This symbolic tradition has survived throughout military history. The official formal change of command procedure begins as Sergeant First Class Ho, the senior non-commissioned officer assigned to the Eastern Illinois University ROTC department and keeper of the organizational colors, passes the colors to Lieutenant Colonel Stephen Knotts for the last time. Lieutenant Colonel Knotts then passes the colors to Mr. Hilton in acknowledgement of the successful accomplishment of his mission, and in so doing, relinquishes his command responsibilities and authority. Mr. Hilton passes the colors to Lieutenant Colonel Eric Savikas, charging him with a new mission and with the overall command responsibility and command authority of the Eastern Illinois University ROTC department. By authority of paragraph 2-3 alpha, AR 600-20, the undersigned assumes command of the Eastern Illinois University Panther Battalion, effective 15 June 2012. Signed, Eric Savikas, Lieutenant Colonel, Field Artillery, Commanding. Lastly, Lieutenant Colonel Savikas passes the organizational colors back to Sergeant First Class Ho to complete the process.
Lieutenant Colonel Steve Knotts has faithfully and courageously served the United States Army for over 22 years as an artillery and logistics officer and a great leader. This professional has enhanced the development and provided unwavering loyalty to his unit and the Army in combat, contingency, and peacekeeping operations throughout the world. He has demonstrated the epitome of Army values and maintained a tenacious warrior ethos in every environment. He has improved every unit and operation, to include this one, with clear analysis, detailed planning, inspired leadership, and flawless execution. And that is testament both to his intellect and his character. The United States Army has been, is, and will remain a stronger Army because of the selfless dedication, professionalism, and patriotism of Lieutenant Colonel Steve Knotts. Thank you for your service, sir. And we will now pin on his retirement award if you will publish the order.
The Meritorious Service Medal is presented to Lieutenant Colonel Stephen L. Knotts, United States Army, for exceptionally meritorious service in positions of increasing responsibility, culminating as the Professor of Military Science at Eastern Illinois University. Throughout his 22 years of exemplary service, Lieutenant Colonel Knotts has provided keen insight, outstanding devotion to duty, and meticulous planning, which have led to his total success in all assignments, missions, and positions of responsibility. His numerous contributions and outstanding performance of duty reflects great credit upon himself, the United States Army Cadet Command, and the United States Army. Signed, Jeffrey A. Smith, Major General, United States Army, Commanding. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant Colonel Stephen L. Knotts, Outgoing Commander, EIU, Panther Battalion.
In the Army, a tactical call sign is a unique designation for a person or a unit. The letter 6 is always the commander's number. And since Eastern Illinois University's mascot is the Panthers, and the ROTC unit is designated as the Panther Battalion, the Professor of Military Science can also be called Panther 6. 3 years ago, with a phone call in my office to the 3rd Brigade Commander, I assumed the responsibility to be able to recruit, retain, develop, and commission the next generation of the United States Army. I became Panther 6. And so I wore many names and titles, putting on a different hat depending on the person I spoke with and the targeted outcome of that conversation. To Army Cadet Command, I was the Professor of Military Science, which is my official title and the title of my annual evaluation reports. To Eastern Illinois University and Lakeland College, I was the chair of the Department of Military Science, because a chair can open doors that a mere professor can't. To other Army units who are not impressed by either the term PMS or chair, I was the EIU ROTC Battalion Commander in order to be able to get results. But all of these hats were only tools to be able to use in my responsibility to the Army, to the university, and to the cadets, and I was always Panther 6. I'm not going to make a list of those things that I have accomplished, and it wouldn't be my list anyways, but it would be a diverse group of cadre, cadets, family, and other supporting units like the Illinois National Guard who have worked together to be able to make these accomplishments. Together we have striven to recruit qualified and enthusiastic cadets by making it known that EIU has an active and quality ROTC program. We've sought to retain cadets by demonstrating that we care about every student, whether sending care packages to them during summer camps or providing extra tutoring when necessary. We have developed training and ethical leaders by setting high standards and enforcing them. And we have commissioned some of the best lieutenants in the country. President Perry, Colonels McDaniel, Wisniewski, and Schultes, to my wife, Beth, and my daughters, thank you for the rewarding opportunity that I've had for these last 2 years. As I've said from the first day when I was Panther 6, there is no place in the Army that I would rather be, and there's nothing that I would rather do. I've been doing exactly what I wanted to do and exactly where I wanted to be, which is preparing the next generation of the Army officers. My time of Panther 6 has ended, but the unit, the vitality, goes on. I leave you with Colonel Eric Savikas, who is bringing a wealth of talent and ideas to this program. Eric, on the desk of Panther 6, there is a small book that's entitled 10 points for Cadet Battalion success. It's refined from over 25 years of cadet command experiences from around the nation, and it may have served you as well as it served me. Panther 6, out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant Colonel Eric Savikas, Commander, EIU Panther Battalion.
So we get to town, we get settled in, and I sign in to start my transition here at the ROTC Battalion. Lieutenant Colonel Knott starts walking me through all the curriculum, reports, training associated with the program, and it's clear right away that he's done a tremendous job, and his team of cadre are absolute professionals who've developed a top-notch program. I'm excited. I can easily picture myself being EIU. During the 2-week turnover, Stephen introduced me to countless university leaders, administrators, and staff members. Each of them, from the president on down, completely made me feel comfortable and welcomed me to the university family. In turn, I promised each of them that I would do my absolute best to carry on the strong traditions of the program and keep up the high standards set by those who came before me. I started to feel like it wouldn't be long before I was EIU. The schedule Stephen had me on was pretty rigorous and didn't allow much time even for lunch. But I managed to sneak away to the student center one day and grab a sandwich. As I went through the checkout line, the wonderful lady there stopped me and said she couldn't ring me up until she thanked me for my service. I was truly humbled and even a little embarrassed. Not because of the uniform I wear or the compliment she gave me, but just because it caught me by surprise and it was totally not necessary. But even though, it was still very much appreciated. I thought to myself, wow, being EIU is going to be really good. This brings us to yesterday and the last part of this quick story. The ROTC department was helping to support the leadership training being conducted by Boise State, which I now see why we look forward to each year. We had just spent the previous few days discussing leadership and conducting team building exercises. We were finishing our practical exercise out in the quad right outside of this building, and we were just about done. It was then when one of the young men participating in the program turned toward me and said, "Hey, this was pretty cool." He was loving it, and it struck me that in this job, I could help others be EIU. So anyways, all of this brings us to the point of the story. Because every good story should have a moral and a point, right, Devin? Well, the point in all of this is to say that the Army tells me as incoming commander, I should be saying, but I would have anyways, that I completely and humbly appreciate this opportunity. Stephen, thank you for the great transition, and thank you especially for passing on a great team and a great program. Like I said when I met with each of the university leaders, you all have my commitment to do my absolute best as I lead the Panther Battalion team. And finally, and this is really the point, I may not have realized it when I first drove into Charleston 2 weeks ago, but I am EIU. Thank you.
If you have questions or comments about our show, please email them to the address on the screen or give us a call during regular business hours at 581-5956. Thanks for watching this edition of Veterans Matters.